Every divorce is different, but they're all similar.
Yeah,
True.
true.
All similar.
Yeah, two people who hate each other.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
You become very self-deprecating. Mike, you're the king at self.
Yeah.
Look that one up. Self-deprecating.
Deprecating. Yeah,
So-
write that down.
Write that down.
Kevin?
At the end of the thing that we learned today, Mike doesn't know what self-deprecating means.
No, I get it. No, listen, you.
There's also the self-sabotage.
Because you don't deserve anything good. I know.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm to that point in this. It's
I
it's
did
going
not
on,
go through that.
It's going on like, what is it?
But
2014, 15. It's going on like 6 years, and then it turned. I'm just like, listen, I'm done. Go live your life. Just that's it.
You at some point you become very introspective and you look inside yourself like, what did I do wrong? What is wrong with me that this is happening? Because
That's true.
I hate to tell you, at some point in your divorce, and I know it happened to you at some point, you become a narcissist because you think everything relates to you, when in reality, probably wasn't the right person for you in the beginning. It's not like you lost something. It was never there.
And the way these lawyers,
And I believe that's true.
Good
I don't
mother
think
of
I should have
God.
married him to begin with.
Right.
I agree.
So you
But now, how long were you married, though?
15 years.
wow, I was married 15 minutes.
What's that?
Not much. 15 minutes. I was
I
married.
was, I was married for 25 years.
Wow,
I've been
that's
divorced
amazing.
almost as long as
you've been
I was married. Almost.
So you have that hindsight, though, which is now you can see everything from the top of the battlefield.
Crystal clear. I mean, and I've evolved since I first divorced, right? I mean, things were messy.
So how messy did the divorce get?
Oh my God, we were in court every 5 minutes. And it did. If I owed $100 for the dentist and I didn't pay it because I couldn't afford it because I wasn't working, he left me with nothing. He cut me off of his income, took my car with my children. I had my children with me. He went to live with mommy and daddy for a year, had to pay no bills or anything. And what was I going to do? My father had a co-sign for a car for me because his credit was horrible in the beginning. It was bad when we got married. And it got worse as time went on because he made some really bad business decisions, which again is probably another show. Yeah. And I knew it, but I didn't know it.
As half a joke, I tell people who are getting married, I said, "Did you check their credit? Because you
Right.
inherit it."
Right, because it's going to go down probably.
Yeah.
So right, if it's bad now, forget it.
Yeah.
So my credit was excellent when we got married, and then once we got divorced, that's it. I mean, we had a ton of debt, which of course he blames on me. We were upside down in the house, which of course he blamed on me. We shouldn't have bought that. We bought a big house on an acre with a pool. It was a beautiful house. We renovated the entire thing, and he blames it all on me. Mm-hmm. Told my parents that. Well, I bought the house for her. Really? Are you not living here with our children? Like, what do you mean you bought it for me?
Yeah, exactly. Where was he sleeping, in the car?
He should have been sleeping in the car.
There's so many
We'd probably still be married if he was sleeping in the car.
So many similarities in this story. It's
yeah.
We speak and it's like
Every
wow.
divorce is different, but they're all similar.
Yeah,
True.
true.
All similar.
Yeah, two people who hate each other.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down
And
to.
they're fighting for every last penny.
Now, you
He would drag me into court he would literally. So we both started off with attorneys. I had mine for 3 months, and we ended up going to court on one particular day. He had filed contempt because I stopped paying the mortgage. Now, there's a reason I stopped paying the mortgage because I called the mortgage company and I said, listen, I want to go through a short sale. What do I need to do? You need to stop paying the mortgage for 3 months straight in order to even be considered for us to accept any offers. So that's what I did.
It's so like different worlds, but when I tell you, it's when we speak, it's like Mike, try to, it's amazing, like she said about the, the $100 for, insurance, whatever it is. I had to go to court because I had a shirt on 49 plus 1 with a middle finger. So
Well, that's a little
and Mickey
different.
Mouse in the middle.
Well,
And a Mickey Mouse on it.
Oh, don't get
Right,
into
well,
the
the
Mickey Mouse thing, please.
they know all about it.
We know all about
So
it.
do I. Let's not.
Well, you know what though? In essence, to that was years ago, and there's still motions and masquerades of motions about that. Like these lawyers, they make you out to be I'm like the Iceman, like
lot
Ted
of-
Kaczynski. Like it's getting ridiculous now. Like
Ted Kaczynski. Richard
I don't care who he
was
is.
the
'Cause
Iceman.
now the hurricane's coming out. Now you're going to get the best of me.
So
Let's get back to Marcy.
but
please.
at some point, the divorce.
I got into court
Yeah.
this one particular time. This is when we got rid of our attorneys. So he was basically filing constantly with all kinds of money stuff, knowing full well that I couldn't afford it. This stuff for the kids. I mean, he made it seem like I was out buying fur coats every 5 minutes, which
probably
clearly,
tactical that he did that.
right. I all of it. I mean, we both had attorneys. This particular case, we get into court, and my attorney says to me, you're in contempt. And I said, well, okay. I said, yeah, what does that mean? I knew nothing at this point. I didn't know about divorce. I knew nothing about it. Like Mike, like nobody in my family had ever been divorced. I knew nothing about it. So, and I had to educate myself to represent myself. But we get into court, and he says, well, what should I do? He says, well, they can, this is my attorney. They can throw you into jail. So who should I call? I said, you should call my father, who's an attorney, and you may want to call my cousin, who's a circuit court judge. They can probably help. Isn't it your job to not have me put in jail?
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, man.
I thought I was going to lose it. So we go, and of course the judge is like, I'm not throwing the mother of children when she did what she was supposed to do. So nothing happened. It was basically like, not even a slap on the wrist. It was kind of like, why are you bringing this to my court and wasting our time?
That's an attorney move. So they inundate you with stupid stuff.
Yep.
All
Just
right,
to get you to keep coming back to court.
Because if you're spending time on that, it's like a magic show, and a magician, when he's doing a trick over here, he wants you to look over here, but he's really doing the trick over here. And
my father's an attorney who did a lot of divorce. So on top of it, and he knew that in New Jersey, granted, not Pennsylvania, where the laws are very different. So we've discovered, but I mean, at that point we got rid of the attorney. So it got to the point where we were filing each other. I only filed stuff in court when I really felt that I had to. He was filing for sport. I mean,
how long did the divorce go on for?
Well, so it took 3 years from date of separation to when we were officially divorced. But you still fight in court over everything.
You got the kids. The kids at this point are what?
So we had split custody. Except
12 and 15?
No, they're 9 and 12 when we separated.
Yeah, so 12
right.
and 15, 3 years later?
No, so things started going south 3 years before that. But when we actually separated, date of separation and when you're fully divorced, it's the same thing. He's out of the house and it's, you know what I'm saying? So separated / divorced.
It's a celebration day.
Oh, I framed my divorce decree.
So what did
but
you...
there was still the fighting going on.
Was it with custody, money? What was it?
It was custody. It was money. It was however he can try to screw me. I mean, it was any which way. It was mostly money stuff. There was a little bit of custody stuff because he was negligent with our children.
And that's the problem. That's the big problem I have with divorce is when the children start to become collateral damage.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's true. And listen, they're bouncing back and it's very hard for them. My children were very resentful and I don't blame them. They're now pretty much adults. I mean, they're 25 and 22. It took many, many years for them to sort of get it.
Resentful towards both of you or?
Sadly, just me.
Yeah.
Because of the stuff that he was feeding.
Filling up.
I assume.
Believe me, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so
Believe me, I know.
Look, I would never want to take away their father. But, when they were younger and he was negligent, I ended up for about a year, I got more custody because I proved that he was negligent.
That's a goal of my ex is to take my children away.
Well, it was.
I'm
was the goal of mine.
desensitized to this now. You know what I mean, in a sense. But the only thing you're
never going to stop
hurting the children, right? I mean,
you're never going to stop fighting.
No, we honestly we don't. You'll never know.
No, fighting for your children. I mean.
Oh, me?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You got that right.
I know.
Let me tell you something. You got that right. You might as well just.
No, the after effects.
I know a guy who went through a divorce and hasn't talked to his kids in 4 years.
Yeah, I know the same guy.
He hasn't talked to his kids, or his kids haven't spoken to him, or both.
Kids haven't spoken to him in 4 years now.
It's a tragic situation.
I hate that.
Yep.
That bothers me.
Because they got poisoned.
That bothers me almost more when it
I know,
happens to a man.
Put it this way,
honest
I know
to
the
God.
guy very well and talk to him all the time and haven't talked to his kids.
Are the
same
children
guy I
children
know.
older?
Yeah. Yep, they're
So
in their
they-
20s.
Okay, so they have a mind of their own.
And one day they're going to wake up. And it seems
always say
it
that.
seems like your kids are waking up.
Yes,
Okay.
I think my kids have awoken.
I
think
one day they're going to wake up and they're going to and it's almost going to be more damaging to them to go, oh my God, I was wrong about this. I misread this whole situation when they become adults.
Well, I had that situation with my older son. When I was still living in Pennsylvania, I had a whole conversation with him. And I said, listen, I can show you all this stuff. I still had all of my divorce paperwork, 4 huge plastic bins of paperwork. I said, do you want to go through the paperwork? Do you want to see what your father was doing? Like, you can see it. It's in black and white from judges, from masters, from people in court. So he's like, he always said no. I offered it many times. He finally said yes. I said, you do? And he said, yeah. I said, great. Come over for dinner next week, and I'm going to sort it all out. I'm going to pull out like the super important stuff, put it in date order, so you see when it started and when it ended, and you'll see.
Yeah.
He went through 3/4 of it, and he's like, oh, my God. I'm like, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get back on your feet after your divorce?
Financially or otherwise?
Emotionally,
financially.
Emotionally, I was fine the day after he left. He left and he filed.
Right.
I would say literally like a week later, I took the initial blow, took some time, but I would say a week later, I was like, oh my God, thank God. Like now I can actually like be a person and be me and be myself.
And live your life.
He didn't fight for our marriage. And that was another big part of it. Because when he had come to me, when he thought I was cheating on him, and he approached me about it, and we talked about it, and then he decided he was leaving. Like there was nothing in between.
Oh, wow.
So did he really love me? I don't think
If you're
so.
ready to give something up that quickly.
Say, let's go to counseling. You know what? Take me away for a weekend. Let's figure out why we were in love in the first place, if we really were.
That could have been like his excuse to get out of it, maybe.
Could be.
Maybe he wanted to get out, and so he drummed up some kind of story and said, that's why I'm going to go.
Actually,
Right.
there are many stories about
He had
people-
reason for the story, and I get it. But he didn't have, but going through all the motions of putting a mobile GPS thing in my car, tracking the computer, hiring a private investigator to set me up, who I ended up busting. And I'm like, what?
That was done to
And
me.
then lied about,
That was done to me.
And then lied about having pictures of me kissing some guy. I'm like, well, where are the pictures? He doesn't have them.
Yeah, of course not.
Right.
Did you ever hold any of the bad feelings you had about this divorce against your after dating effect? Somebody always pays the price. Somebody always does time for somebody else's crime.
The trust issues.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that on the little note on the notes. Yeah, I definitely have trust issues. I mean, I think I'm better now than I was. But I still have some trust issues because, you marry this person who says they're going to love you forever, through thick and thin, forever, forever and ever. And then they decide that, something goes wrong and they decide just to walk out the door and not to, marriage is hard. Relationships are hard. If you don't want to work on it and you're just going to bail and walk out the door, like, why would I want to get involved with someone else and deal with that again? I'm not saying it would happen again. I don't hold each guy. I don't say every guy's going to be like him. Absolutely not.
But
I don't do
you're
that.
almost like scarred, right?
Oh,
You're almost
yeah.
scarred from the divorce, and
Sure.
and like Kevin said, you make someone's got to pay for some people pay for other people's crimes,
Right.
so
I don't-
you're going to have those trust issues.
I don't think that other guys are necessarily going to be like him. In fact, every guy I've ever met has been nothing like him.
But if something rears its head with somebody else who you're in a dating relationship, even if it's untrue, even if it's only something that you see, you're going to go, boom. Uh-oh.
I'm very quick to say no, thank you. I am because I don't have the time or patience. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. Like I've become impatient with kind of dating and everything else. I mean, I've been divorced for 14 years.
Have you ever come close to or ever thought about maybe doing it again?
Getting married again? Initially I always said no. And then now I feel like if I was dating someone in a serious relationship and they wanted to get married, it was important to them, then I would do it. Or I would consider it, I should say.
Well, you know,
but it's not something I need.
You know better than anybody. Marriage, at its core basis thing, is a legal contract between two people. Mm-hmm. All right, but it says nothing in there about love. It says nothing in there
Right.
about fidelity or anything like that. Though all those things can be had without that bond. And listen,
Right.
I'm not.
Without the piece of paper.
I'm not telling you not to get married. I'm not telling anybody not to get married. But
Right.
think about, if you need that contract, or I'm old fashioned where I believe that if you're planning on having children, it should be. You can call me a dinosaur. You can call me whatever you want. It
Oh,
should
no,
be
I
a,
believe that too.
a married
Absolutely.
mother and father. And I know
Well, see,
what happens.
I was a virgin until I got married too.
Yeah. You're still a virgin.
No, twice.
One of them was with Mike.
You know what though? Just to get back, we were raised differently. You know, we were raised, to get into marriage. You live your life, you get into marriage, you have kids, and it wasn't. I didn't even know about divorce. I had no, as a kid. Now it's different. You're raised and you're told to get married, then you got to get divorced. It's just the way it is now.
Right.
Get married, get divorced, and
it's so
it was
easy.
never heard of in my family.
It's too easy.
Well, my parents were divorced when I was
That's
7 or 8
that's the way
years
kids
old.
nowadays are taught. You know what? Just get married and get divorced, and you get settlement. If it's a wealthy person, that's how. I don't know.
There is a sanctity that to marriage that should be taken a little bit more serious than it is today.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% I would get married, and it affects
You would get married again?
I would. It affects everything, even in my relationship now. It does.
Didn't you just say 10 minutes ago, absolutely not, never getting married again?
No, that's just. I'm being honest now.
No,
Because,
but I whispered in his ear. I said, Mike, the first time's for love, the
I'm
second
serious.
time's for
It
money.
affects-
So,
it affects
He
everything
finds a
in-
rich
in-
girl, he's going to get married.
going through what I'm going, it affects everything in a relationship I'm in now. It's very difficult, and it's difficult to be around me when in reference to that. This person it instilled in old school and dedication and loyalty. So 100% I would, but it's so difficult to make that next step when you have this continuing.
Well, it's a good distraction.
Well, you also have to bring that
and
into
the person, right? The
you have
person
to bring that into the new relationship.
100%. It's there. You know what I mean?
Oh, by the
Would
way,
I
I'm going through this, so you got to deal with this
100%.
baggage as well.
100%. I would marry this
We all
person
have-
that I'm with right now.
We all
but,
have baggage.
for some reason, whatever it is, I want. It's every single thing I do. It's it's robotic. Do it this way. The courts say do it this way. You can't do this, and you can't do that. You can't. I'm just like, it's ridiculous.
It's almost like common
listen,
sense.
right?
Has gone
Just
out
leave
the
me.
window.
Listen,
Yeah, exactly.
Go live your life. Listen. In May, bring me back on this show, and I will sing, and I will give you. I will give you. Yeah. See what you did to me? Listen,
didn't do a thing.
in May of 2023, bring me back on this show. I guarantee. I'll
Why? What happens in May?
there's things change.
The hurricane finally passes through.
Yeah,
Hurricane number one?
I finally pushed through all these, courts and
FEMA gets involved and they start getting.
I'm telling you, I will sing in May. Believe me. Bring me back on here. I'll give you a divorce story. Trust me.
So, how has it given you strength? Because I'm a big believer that anytime you're going through some sort of trauma or trial or adversity
Or suffering.
or suffering, initially you see it as a detriment to your personality. Initially you see it as something that you don't put up on a pedestal. Where now, the damage that we've went through, I use that as my strength, and I'll actually lead with that. Years I would tell people I would never tell people I'm a retired police officer because I was in a shooting and I had to retire. But now I'm like, oh, I'm a retired police officer, and they ask me, well, you're kind of young to retire. Well, yeah, because I was in a police shooting. So I lead with it, because it's my strength now. Do you ever
Right.
see that as what you went through in divorce?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it absolutely, I think it made me, it actually upped my self-esteem. I don't know how much self-esteem I had when I was married, to tell you the truth. I don't really know. I don't kind of remember. I feel like it was so long ago. It was like a different lifetime. I don't remember the time that I was married. I remember having my children. But beyond that, and when they were little and stuff, we did with them when little. But beyond that, I don't remember my marriage back then. Yes, I think I'm much stronger. I mean, I've always been relatively independent, but I'm much more independent now. And I feel like it's definitely made me stronger. It's made me more aware also, just of me and what I can actually do. I mean, the stories that I could tell you, people will come up to me all the time, not understanding how I'm not in an asylum, I'm not an alcoholic, or I'm not a drug addict. Because they're like, I don't understand how you go through all this and you're not like committed. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you.
And that's powerful. She is honestly, the respect is there. She's very powerful. She's very independent. I mean, I see it, and the way she speaks, and I don't know. It's I got to give you a lot of credit. I'm serious, and I'm not. It's not easy to do this.
Hey, Kev, It's his boss.
I know.
You know, we'll just let them talk. Me and you will talk. So, Kev, what do you think about the?
He's so mad.
No,
you're just
mad.
upset. You're upset that I have a bigger picture than you.
No.
If you saw somebody in your life or in your circle heading down the path of divorce, from what you've learned, what do you think you'd tell them?
Oh, a lot of things.
Would you tell them not to get married?
I've always said, even after I got divorced, I'm not an advocate of divorce. I'm just not.
I'm not an advocate of marriage either.
Right.
you do what you want
Right.
to do.
That's right. There you go. I'm right. I think every marriage is different also. But if you're not being loved and you're not being supported and you're not feeling like you're a partnership, my ex and I were not partners. We just weren't. We were such yin and yang. People used to laugh at us all the time. They'd be like, "You guys are so opposite." We're like, "Yeah, well, opposites attract," and
Yeah.
well, they were too far apart.
Go with
clearly.
the old adages.
Right.
Opposites attract.
That's right. Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
We're coming to the end of this thing, Marcy. And I ask everybody the same question as we're at the end of the show. You've gone through all these different things. You've gone through the suffering of divorce. What do you think it's taught you?
How strong I truly am. How I can really get through anything. I mean, I think mostly I was fighting with all this stuff for the benefit of my children. They were really my primary focus. Yep. I wasn't really focused on me very much, and had people telling me constantly, you really need to focus on you, and you need to get you need to get your shit together, and be strong for yourself, not just for your kids. But I learned how strong I am. I really did. I mean, there was a lot, and I came through on the other side, and I'm independent. I have a good job. I have a great company I'm working for. And I'm happy. I'm not dating anyone. I'm single, and I'm happy that way too.
So if anybody out there is looking,
we're developing a new app. It's similar to Tinder. It's the Suffering Podcast dating app.
There you go. Right.
There's like Mike on there, and
all of us suffering people can all right. That's right.
No, I have my own app, the Palm app.
Which we help you develop.
You did.
Gives you 5 chins.
That's not nice. The guy guy's nice enough to come in.
The resilience next year is there's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be a lot of changes in my life.
It's going to go from a category 5 to a category 2.
I was over 5 a few times. They weren't really nice.
Marcy, I appreciate you coming in here, Mike.
Yeah, it was great.
I appreciate you coming in to be the special guest host. But Marcy, you talked about a subject that very few people want to talk about. And we do appreciate your honesty, because with a 50% divorce rate, 1 out of 2 people that hear this show are going through it, went through it, or about to go through it.
Talk about it. Talk about it to anybody. I mean, that helps too. I think if I could give people advice, I've given lots and lots of people advice, and I've counseled a lot of people, and just, kind of guided them through the process of, what you need to do, and what, especially in Pennsylvania, because I was representing myself, so I could go through the court system and whatever. But it's best to talk about it, and talk about it to people that are divorced, and talk about it that worked on their marriage. If you talk to lots of different people, you're going to get lots of different opinions, but that might help you make your opinion for yourself, what's best for you.
Like you said before, you don't advocate divorce, but if you're not happy and everybody's miserable, at least do something to help your marriage. I mean,
not everybody.
Go to marriage counseling or do something.
Well, that's the thing. And if you do all those things and you're still not happy, my ex-husband and I didn't fight one day, ever. We never fought.
That's a problem.
Correct.
That's a problem.
Because fighting works out problems. You have a problem.
It does, and it gets it out. And that's much better than holding it in.
I won't fight with someone that I don't care about.
Then there's makeup sex.
Yeah,
which is always good for marriage.
You're right.
That's right.
But if you don't fight, then you can't have the makeup sex. So what's the point?
Do you have anything you want to throw out there for a plug?
I'm going to throw out 3 acres, of course.
3 acres.
Yeah. 3 acres.
3 acres.
3 acres.
3 acres.
Right. 3 acres.
3 acres.
You sound like
I was about to say
Acres.
plug this.
This.
It's ACEES. 3 acres.
You're gonna appreciate. You're gonna appreciate me soon. May of 2023.
Oh my God, we're all marking our calendars, Mike. What's the date?
Sing. I'm
What's
gonna
the date?
sing.
Is there a date?
I want Andrew to do like that thing, like the The app with me singing.
The ding?
Oh, I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna tell a real story what happened.
What's this Andrew thing? I do all that stuff.
You do it?
Yes, I do it.
All right, then you put that thing up there.
The thing. Which thing? The first thing or the second thing? Marcy, thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I really
great.
appreciate
Thanks
it.
for
This
being
was fun.
Thanks for being so open and honest.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is a lot
Anytime.
of fun.
Yeah, it was a
Next
lot
time
of
me
fun.
and Kevin come down to 3 Acres, all four of us will sit around and
I would love that.
Check
That would
out
be
3
great.
Acres. I know it's on Instagram.
It's on Instagram. Yeah, you can go to our website, 3acresjc.com.
Okay.
and you know what? I have to
tell
tell you, before we went there the other day, I went on the website. The website doesn't even do that place justice.
It does not.
It really doesn't.
It does not. And when we tell people that all the time when we schedule tours, we say, you know what, like our pictures are great on there, but it doesn't do it justice. You have to come see it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Your fantastic security detail that you have working.
That's right, of course.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Hold on. I do have to.
Nobby and Gobby.
I do have to give the most important person that got me there and pretty much changed my life.
You're welcome.
I'm not even.
You're welcome.
No, it's
not me.
one of my bosses. It's Nicky Russo. That we grew up together. We worked together, and if it wasn't for that man, I would have never been in this position where I am now and be able to get my life back. Yeah. So I have to really. That is a shout out, the plug that I wanted to plug in. All right.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast, The Suffering of Divorce with Marcy Cowen. And let's think about all the stuff that we learned today. Attraction comes in many forms. Hindsight is always 20/20. Mike learned the word interject today. There's always collateral damage in divorce. We all want a partner, but most importantly, talk about it and ask for help.
Yep.
That's going to do it for this episode. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Don't forget you can always listen before you watch. All our episodes air on Sunday morning. Follow me on Instagram at Real Kevin Donaldson. Follow Mike at Mike_Failace. Follow the Suffering Podcast. Also TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, all those social media things.
I think Mike's on Instagram as Fortune Mike.
No. I have a 5'4".
Matches his 5 head.
See what I say, Marcy?
That's going to do it
Talking
for
about
this
foreheads.
episode. We'll see you next time.
It's a 12 head.